If we're not taking care of what we have now, what are we going to do with something new? Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, I remember those Dodgers. Give me a break, Commissioner Deutsch. Yeah, Barbara, I want to thank you for that comment, because that was a really good point. I had a brand new septic put in 5 years ago. In the past 5 years, I won't go into the details, but there's only been 1.5 people living in that house. And then I got my notice, and I said, boy, this is really dumb. I mean, I go to the John at McDonald's, or I come to the commission office, I don't even use it there. But anyway, I went ahead, and I'm a rule, maybe those of us from New York are rule players. I'm a rule player. I went and paid the $115. I came out, I had the guy come out and pump my septic, and I tried to get, and he finished up real quick, and I caught him as he was leaving. Unfortunately, just in time so I could write him the check for $250, whatever it was. And I said, well, how was it? And he said, oh, it was perfect. It was brand new. I didn't even have to clean the filter. I said, well, for tomorrow. He said, well, we washed it out, but it didn't need anything. It looked perfect. But the point I want to make, I was pretty sure it didn't need it. I knew it was brand new. I knew it was to present, up-to-date standards, but I'm a rule player.
You were a body.
So we did it. What I will do, and this is why I want to answer you on, and this is important, I am going to follow through, and I'm going to see what we are doing to make sure that everyone that's supposed to play by the rules plays by the rules. And I'll promise you that. Thank you. Yes, sir. You're next.
My name is David Philibot, and I'm on Helvacor.
What's the last name?
Philibot.
Philibot.
Yes. I stand in the back of the room. I kind of find it amazing that we're at this meeting and we have a gentleman that has a lot of information to share with everyone here. And he's allowed 5 minutes.
Yep.
And I understand that we have to have rules and things, but I think he should have been allowed to say what he needed to say. I also find it very hard to believe that this is not the first meeting on this subject, and yet you have no information to share with us. I'm not trying to bash anybody, but it's just to me as a spectator there, I'm just going, how many meetings have you had with other groups, with whatever to get, why are we even going in this direction if we haven't had some kind of reason for doing it?
We're going to pause your time. David, I want to ask that because I know that Scott's been in to see me a number of times, the other commissioners a number of times, and 1 month ago in this building we had not quite as many people, but we had a good-sized crowd here, and we were sort of relaxed and people wanted Scott to speak, and Scott took about 50 minutes at the microphone out of the hour and a half we had, and we very courteously did that. I will tell you, I had 3 people afterwards that told me they wanted to speak. 2 of them said they sort of kind of were afraid to get up. So, we're happy to let everyone speak. We want to give everyone...
We all want him to speak.
We want
him to speak.
What we're trying to do, we want to make sure that everyone in the room has an opportunity to get their 2 cents in, or their 5 minutes. And, and there's going to be no decisions being made tonight. Decision is going to be made for a while. I think your presence here and your input is certainly going to be taken very seriously. So again, we thank you for coming, but we're trying to be fair to 125 people or so. That's what we're trying to do.
I understand. But what I don't understand,
you have 4 minutes left.
well, I'm not going to take it. But what I don't understand is why it was even put into progress without some kind of survey or reason to start in that direction in the first place.
Right.
I also want to address the $10,000 issue. When's the last time a county or any government organization has had an estimate under $10,000 that doesn't turn out to 20? I just don't understand, why people that are really knowledgeable in the issues here going on they should be allowed to do it, because there's probably different people here than the last time. I know I wasn't here the last time, and this is the first time I've heard about it. I've been away for a while. And I am new to the area, and I love the area. But I just don't understand how you are taking this direction with no reason. As far as I can see, you haven't presented us any reason. That's my, and I'd like to have Scott be able to speak.
Yeah, let me get to Scott. My name's Gary Black, I live on Port Charlotte Boulevard.
Excuse me, sir. I'd like to comment.
Okay.
We're going to give you time.
I'll make it as quick as possible.
I wanted to try and answer the gentleman's question, because this process has been valuable because of some of the information we got. 6 months ago, I was told, and again, we talked about being a rule player, I was told 6 months ago that the county had entered into an agreement with the state of Florida whereby we had to put sewers in. Now, that's what I was told. We began researching that, and I believe I was the first one to pull out and get hold of a copy on the original agreement, which, by the way, I made available to all the SOS people so they could read it as well. And in that agreement, it pretty much indicated that, yes, we had to put the sewers in this area. Well, we did some further checking, and we actually went to the point, because again, I wanted to make sure that if we didn't do this, it wouldn't hurt Charlotte County in some other way. Like all of a sudden, if we don't do this, the state won't give us any money for highways, or we won't get this or that. And we went ahead and we checked. And one of the things we found out, the state recently told us, and we're trying to get something in writing, that they're not going to push the issue. Okay? Now the reason, part of the reason we're doing this is because we're involved in the process. Several things are influencing me, and I'll tell you very frankly, one of the things is when the state said, hey, we're not going to push the issue. And, you know, I think that that's important to share with you, and it's part of the reason why this process has been moving along, and we're trying to give it due diligence, and we're trying to let everyone share their point of view and their feelings with us. Okay?
My name's Gary Black, I live on Port Charlotte Boulevard. I'm retired. I live by myself. I don't know what I'm putting in my tank, but it ain't very much. Okay? I'm on fixed income. A while ago, you made a statement, the county's going to help certain people. Who's paying? Who's the county but us? We're the taxpayers. We're the county. So that's money out of my pocket. You know, I can't afford this crap anyway. Excuse the pun. Another thing is, I moved down to this particular area. I could have moved to Deep Creek where they got stores or whatever. I moved to Port Charlotte County because I understood it was a non-deed restricted area. Well, the first thing they took away from me was the right to build a steel building or something in my backyard. Okay, I was up here fighting about that. Now, this here, this lot, same old stuff. And government cannot run nothing efficiently. It's going to cost, you're arguing it's going to cost such and such. It'll cost more before it's done. A lot more. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want no response. I want my buddy to speak.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Dan Cameron. I live on Banks Avenue here in Port Charlotte. And the only reason I came up here because there's a lot of points being bantered back and forth on the science that you have and the science that Scott has. And I agree that all the science should be looked at very carefully. There's also something else. The reason I'm up here talking is because I fish for a living. I'm a charter boat captain in Charlotte County. And we're really concerned with the water quality here. That's the overall concern that we have. This reason you're talking sewers and whatnot. So I'm wondering if either side is getting data about fish, the health of the fish stocks that are in the harbor, the river, so on and so forth, either from your sources or I asked Scott the same thing from SOS. I can tell you from my own observations that the fish stocks in the harbor and surrounding waters are phenomenal right now. We have the healthiest fish stocks that I've ever seen. I've lived here since '71 and fished Charlotte Harbor and these waters since the early '80s. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at all the data. And I would think that the fish, the health of the fish that are in the harbor, as well as the other marine life, would play a big part in that. Because I know for a fact that if you have polluted water, if you have a lot of problem with it. Your fish stocks and your marine animals and mammals are going to have a lot of health issues. So I just want to, that's the question I have is, do you guys have any fish data or fish health data in your science?
I think that's what we're waiting for from the Charlotte Harbor National Estuary Program.
Okay, very good.
That is forthcoming, and on July 1st, I think they're going to be at the meeting to discuss their findings.
Right. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, we would like to talk about the science, because the science is critical.
Okay, so before you start, Scott, there's nobody else that wants to speak. Okay. I will.
Ma'am, would you mind, because I promise you, I have the best science you can see.
I have one question, that the hookup fee...
Your name, ma'am?
Ellen Stark Swan. I live on Yukon Drive in Port Charlotte. I have one question. The hookup fee is going to be per lot, and a lot of people have bought all the lots around their houses. Like we have 4 lots but 1 house, and there's empty lots on many, many of the streets. Who pays for that? Who pays for that hookup? Do you have to pay for 4 lots, even if you only have 1 house and 1 lot, even though you bought up the accompanying lots around you on 2 different streets, and this block and that block, all the way through? Who pays for that?
Well, right now,
4 times.
right now, the way that it's set up is, you know, each house has a certain fee and each lot has a certain fee. But if you decide to make your house and all of those lots one parcel and you put them all together and you're making it one livable, taxable spot, then you're only going to pay 1 hookup for that house and all the land because it's part of the same, it is one property. You're deeding it as one property.
And what about all the empty lots? There's plenty of...
just told you.
And those are
Empty
going
lots.
to be part of
Yeah, who pays for that?
The people.
Oh, somebody book it, you just send them a bill and they're going to stay.
At the moment, that's the plan. Are there any other people that want to speak before we give Scott his other 5 minutes?
So let's talk about the science.
Okay, but you can talk to us afterwards. If you've spoken already, you've had your time. Okay, you've got your 5 minutes.
Okay, in the previous document I told you from the Department of Health, okay, that says the Department of Health and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection is okay with the septics. There's a clause at the back that requires the county to do monthly testing of the waterways. At the bottom, where I underlined it there for you, Commissioner, where is that science? This is from 2007. Where is that science? In other words, they have no science. Okay? They're also breaking the law by not agreeing to do the monthly testing and providing that science to the Department of Environmental Protection. They are actually breaking the law. I'm going to go really quickly here, folks. I'm sorry because we're running out of time, so I apologize. This is the contract of Banks Engineering and the county to do the proposal for the sewer system. Okay? Chairman, Commissioner Brooks, please hand that out. In this contract, which was signed in July of 2011, there is a section here, there's a couple of interesting things in here, but we're going to go to page 17, okay? On page 17, it talks about water quality modeling, okay? Banks Engineering, the science that they're talking about, they have been doing just since last year. Okay, and they only do it every other month. They won't tell us where, and they won't tell us when it's being done. I'm sure they're going to provide it later, but what they're going to come next week or next month with is that science, okay? We showed you on the screen thousands of tests going back decades, okay? They're going to come up with 50 tests, which means if they had 10 stations testing, they may have 5 tests from each one. I don't know. We've asked. They will not provide this information. But I want to show you in this contract, at the end, they talk about water quality models. And it says, Banks Engineering is going to make a chart like they have over here, and the chart that they're going to make is going to assume the pollution goes up with septics, and then they're going to make another chart that says they assume that the pollution goes down with sewers. And they're going to do it 5, 10, 15, 20 years just like this. I'll read it to you very clearly, okay? Estimating current nutrient loadings related to water quality impacts, model estimates 5, 10, 15, 20 years, okay, will be made to consider increased loadings based on projected deterioration of existing septics, assuming a percentage of which that will fail will not be immediately fixed. That's the science that they're going to come back with in a couple of weeks. They're going to assume that it's just going to be terrible and that they're just going to, again, it's not science. When you hear words like assume and projected, it's not science. 2 + 2 is 4 all day long. It's not 5 and it's not 3, it's 4. That's why we call it science. We don't assume 2 and 2 is 4. We know it's 2 and 2 is 4. So when you see assume, estimating, and projected, we will put this up on our Facebook website, ladies and gentlemen. This is the contract that we have paid $570,000 to Banks Engineering for, okay? In this, one of the other issues is there's another amendment to this contract, very interesting, where our county commissioners canceled many of the scientific parts, okay, and it says force main designs, water main designs, they cancel it $5,700, $3,800, they cancel all of it, and here's the amendment, and this was approved by our board, okay, a total, back here, of $105,000 of engineering, and I want Banks Engineering to, because I've seen CCU's work, and I know that